Negizi Lumpa. Hey, Garcina here and welcome to another video. I know that it's been a while since I posted anything, but I just wasn't feeling inspired. I had a bit of a crisis and hopefully that is resolved, but doubtful. But anyways, as you could see, this is going to be my book haul. Since my last one I acquired a few books and I decided it's time that I film one of these videos because I'm really excited about basically all of these books, so that's good. But what I'm even more excited about is my new puppy, if she will show her face. She's a beautiful dachshund puppy. She's a dapple dachshund and I've never had one of those, but also in Germany they call her Tiger Dackel, and that's where I got her, and I'm really excited. It's been over a year since my dog died, my last dachshund died, and I'm just so happy to have another puppy. The timing is not the best given that I'm gonna have a baby next month basically, but so I'm gonna make it work somehow. Not sure how yet because she's a bundle of joy, but she's also very energetic and just takes a lot of my energy and time. So we'll figure it out. I will do that. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, she sleeps a lot, so she's still a baby. And I love her to bits. She's the best thing that happened to me this month, so I'm really happy to have her. And she's gonna say her goodbye now because she's sleepy, and she will hopefully go to sleep and not make a lot of noise because she can make quite a racket, so you know, we can focus our time on books. So the first book that I want to talk about is Age of Legend by Michael J. Sullivan. This is book 4 in his Legends of the First Empire. And this is sort of a prequel to his Rhaenyra, which is, I guess, a more popular series by him. And in this series we follow humans and fae and different other creatures. And at the beginning of the story we see that humans consider fae to be immortal, basically gods, and then one of the humans kills a fae, and that certainly changes their perspective, and there's a war sort of brewing, and I just adored this series to bits. It's just a joy to read. I love all the characters. There's a lot of female characters, not necessarily protagonists, although we do have multiple points of view sort of, and the females are all great. The guys, you know, more or less as well, some we like more than the others, and there's just, you know, a lot of adventure, a lot of plotting, and there's twists, and I just love this world. So I'm really looking forward to the next book. Obviously I already read this one, so yeah, I could not recommend a series more. Michael J. Sullivan, as I said in many of my videos, is a great gateway to adult fantasy. It's, you know, his books don't have a steep learning curve. His writing is easy to get into. Characters are very likable, and there's also always some adventure that you just are very curious about and just want to figure out. And these books are great. The next book that I have is The Wolf's Call by Anthony Ryan, which is book 1 in his Raven's Blade. I think it's going to be a duology, but I'm not certain. You know, it would make more sense to be a trilogy, but you know, these days duologies are popular as well, so I'm not sure. I would have to check on that. But anyways, this is sort of a follow-up to his Raven's Shadow trilogy, in which we meet Raven Valen Alsona. He's a young boy, and his father drops him off at this sort of a monastery type of institution where he's trained to be a fighter, and afterwards we see him grow up and get entangled in all this intrigue and plotting that is taking place in his land, and he's also, you know, goes to war and things like that. And his story concluded in the previous trilogy, obviously, but I always wanted to learn more, I guess, about him and the world, and I'm really happy that this book is finally here. I have not read it yet. I would really love to reread the first trilogy because it's one of my favorite series, fantasy series, and then get to this one. So hopefully I will manage to do that, but I'm not sure when exactly that will be possible for me. So fingers crossed it's soon, but no promises. The next book that I have is Crowfall by Ed McDonald. This is book 3, the last book in the Black Wing trilogy, I guess. The first book is called Black Wing, the second one is Ravencry, and I have yet to read the second and third books in the series, in the trilogy. In book 1, we basically get entangled in this world that's divided between different countries, and these two countries that are constantly, I guess, at war sort of, are divided by this desert, and in the desert there's a machine, and that's the only thing keeping this one land protected from the other, and something is wrong with the machine, and certain characters have to figure out what's going on. And I read the first book a while back, and clearly I do not remember it all that well, so I'll have to reread it, but I did enjoy it enough to obviously want to continue on with the series. So now I have the whole thing here, and hopefully I will get to read the whole trilogy in September, but obviously again, who knows. But yeah, I would love to do that, and I just love the covers for these books. They're just so gorgeous, and this one might be my favorite actually, just because of the color. But yeah, anyways, yeah, that's the next book that I have to get to eventually. Next I have In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. This is book 4 in her Wayward Children series of novellas, and in this one we follow Lundy as she goes through her doors, and she gets into this world that it's all about fair trade, and she sort of, you know, is right for that. And I think she can also go back and forth, you know, between the two worlds. I started listening to this one, and for some stupid reason didn't finish it. So I should do that hopefully in September. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think if I do finish it, that this might be my second favorite in the series, which I don't think it's really a popular opinion, but I really enjoyed the first one, and then the second and third were sort of like, you know, not that great, but I think this one will definitely be one of my favorites in the series. Next I have a book that I already read and loved to bits, and that is The Faded Sky by Mary Robinette Kowal, which is a sequel to The Calculating Stars. And this is an alternate history sort of story that is sci-fi, and it takes place in our world, obviously, during the 50s. It starts off during the 50s when there's a meteorite strikes the DC area, and a lot of well, the whole government and everything there is gone, and people have to sort of readjust to this new future ahead of them. The thing is that the scientists predict that there's going to be, as a consequence of this hit, that there's going to be such global warming that Earth will be uninhabitable soon, and that's why they speed up the space program. They make it their priority to get into space, to make a space station there, and then to get to the moon, and from there on to Mars. And I really love it. We follow this one female character. What's her name? Why do I forget that? Well, that's embarrassing. But Elma, yeah. Okay, Elma, we follow Elma. And I love her. She's a feminist, she's a fighter, she's really smart. She and her husband are a great couple. There's also other characters that I'm really intrigued by. The book also explores the problems of that time, such as I said, feminism, and just racial problems, because obviously it's the same era as it was here, so they face the same problems when black people are sort of overlooked or neglected just because of their color, and despite the fact that they're more qualified than white people. And yeah, it's all about politics and, you know, just people being people. But yeah, I really love the second book as well, and I cannot wait until next year for the third one to come out. It's going to be such a long wait, I feel like, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I think the third one is actually not going to follow these two characters, but some other ladies, which is going to make the wait even longer, because I think the next book about Elma and her husband comes out in 2022, which is a long way, but still, yeah. Anyways, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the third one as well. I do recommend these. There's science talk in them, so, you know, if you're not versed in science, I think, well, I'm not, and I just still enjoy these books very much, so I don't think that's a problem. Some goes over your head, some doesn't, so you know, it's fine. And yeah, as I said, I really enjoy them and I do recommend them a lot. The next book that I have is The Demon World by Sally Green. This is a follow-up to The Smoke Thieves, which I read earlier this year, and this is young adult fantasy. It takes place in a world that is divided between different kingdoms, and we follow a bunch of characters. There's a princess who's really you know, she comes from this kingdom that is really bad for women. Her father and her brother treat her like crap, and she's supposed to be basically married off to this prince, and she's not too happy about it, but I think that she craves the freedom from her family basically. And then we have a demon thief, that's you know, a young girl that is with her partner. They hunt demons, and once they kill them, they collect the smoke that comes out of them, and this smoke actually acts like a drug, so people, you know, would buy that. And then we follow also this boy who was a servant to a prince and is really disappointed by some of the prince's actions, that he wants revenge. And there's also a bunch of other characters, and throughout the story, and basically their stories get intertwined, and they meet, and now they have to face what's going on in their world and try to obviously save it. And I was picked, you know, my curiosity was picked enough that I actually got the sequel, so I haven't gotten around to reading it yet, but I do plan to eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, but we shall see about that. So yeah, anyways, I do recommend the first one. This is going to be my third Sally Green book. I've read Half Bad, didn't enjoy that much, so I never continued on with that series, but this one I do prefer, I have to say. Another book that I got is City of Lies by Sam Huck, which I'm just realizing it's actually a woman. So yeah, I expected it's, you know, the author to be a guy, but hey, great. This came out last year, and I actually have an arc of it, and silly me, I still haven't gotten around to reading it, but now that I have a physical format, I think I might do that sooner than I would with an e-arc. Anyways, this is a story about this boy who is trained to be a taster. So basically he checks everything before the king does, or you know, the ruler does, for poisons. And there's also his sister that's important in this story, and obviously things happen, and the chancellor dies of a mysterious poison, and the city where they live is invaded, and they have to basically save it. I've heard mixed reviews of this book, mostly negative, I think, which is why I sort of didn't have the urge to pick it up, but I love this cover and I would love to get to it because, I don't know, I'm still intrigued by it. So hopefully now that I own a physical copy, that might happen. I'll have to figure out my TBR for the next month, because it sounded like I want to read everything again, and obviously that's not going to happen because I don't read that fast or that much anymore, so I have to be sort of realistic about the odds of me reading everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. And the last book that I have is Only Human by Sylvain Novelle. This is the conclusion to his Sleeping Giants trilogy, which I read, or rather listened to, last year, and I loved it to bits. This is a sci-fi story about this giant metallic hand that is found, and then after that we follow the girl who found the hand as she grows up and becomes a scientist and is part of this project that is collecting these different body parts and assembling them. And I just loved the story. Is written sort of in well, listen to it, so I do recommend listening to it because I love the narrator. And it's written in an interview format, as all of these characters are being interviewed by this mysterious man whom I love that character. And yeah, we follow the progression of what they find and what kind of impact that has on Earth and humanity and everything, and I just enjoyed the whole trilogy. This was not my favorite out of the trilogy. I think the book one is still but despite that, I wanted to actually finally have a copy of this book, so I have the whole trilogy on my shelves and I can say that it's complete. completed. And yeah, obviously if you're into sci-fi or trying to get into sci-fi, I do recommend this series. It's fantastic, and it was just a lot of joy to listen to it. So these are all the books that I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm not sure if the books were as important as my puppy, at least not to me, but you know, hopefully you enjoyed it despite sort of being all over the place, I guess. And until my next video, thank you for watching this one, and see you then. Bye.